What is going on, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Nerd Crew podcast. My name is Andy York, and as always, I am joined by the one and only Jason Lee. Jason, how are you doing today?
I am doing marvelous.
Marvelous. That was a...
Very apt.
Yes, very apt. That was a very clean cut into what we're going to be talking mostly about today. But as always, this is the Nerd Crew podcast. You can always find us at SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean every once in a while when Podbean decides to work. And this week, for the very first time, it is that we are recording this episode, and then the video feed of the podcast will be up on our YouTube channel, The Nerd Crew. So if you are watching this on YouTube, we appreciate it. We're going to try to do this as much as we can. We're going to try to get into the YouTube world a little bit more. See if that'll be a little bit more fun. Take chances, and we're sorry if we aren't the prettiest things to look at. We don't really care. That's not why we're on here.
We know we got the prettiest voices already.
Yes, we have the prettiest voice, the sexiest voices. Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
We'll make up for it.
Yes, our voices make up for our looks. Plus, you're married already, so you don't have to worry about that.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm the only one that has to worry about that. So
yeah, if my wife calls me out on how I look,
then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Then you're in trouble. But at this point, it probably won't happen.
Yeah.
I'll
be okay.
Yeah. So, as always, we like to talk about on this podcast, we love to talk about Marvel, DC, superheroes, comic books, video games, wrestling every once in a while. But this week, it is another trailer breakdown because this week is going to be dubbed forever the Marvel week, I think.
I think this will be Marvel's biggest week since back in 2014 when they released the entire slate of movies.
Yes.
Leading up to where we are now, leading up to Avengers 4.
Right.
Just with all the different news that's coming out just in one week, it's been pretty insane.
It's with both a sad news to start, I think last week, like Thursday, I think when we found out, and then the trailer Monday, and then the trailer coming out Friday, the game coming out, or the gameplay coming out Thursday.
Right, the game announcement.
Right, and then Friday, Avengers. Saturday, more than likely, Far From Home. So it's a crazy week for Marvel this week.
Right, so to elaborate a little bit, yesterday, Monday, December 3rd, Captain Marvel's second trailer came out on Monday Night Football. And then on Thursday, we're looking forward to the Game Awards, and the Russo brothers are going to be at the Game Awards, and we'll likely get a reveal for Square Enix's Avengers project, which has been, I think there's like a short little trailer or teaser for that that's been floating around the internet for quite a while, but we'll get to see, a lot more of that game, and we'll probably get like a straight up trailer announcement for that. On Friday, the Avengers 4 trailer, the first one, was pushed back to this Friday, but we're still really looking forward to it, and we can't wait, and next week we'll be all over that.
Yes. Next week is a big week.
Oh, yeah. As well as the first Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, which comes out the next day, this Saturday.
Yeah.
So next week we're going to be talking about a whole lot, because in 3 days, in a row, we're getting 3 crazy things that we've been looking forward to for a while.
Actually, the next 3 weeks of podcasting is going to be insane. Because next week, like we said, we're doing the Avengers 4 and Far From Home trailer breakdown. The week after that, we're going to be doing the review for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is already, I've heard, is the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. So that's a big praise. And then the week after that is the greatest movie of all time, Aquaman. So we are 3 weeks in a row. We're very excited about that. And then we hit Christmas. But we get Christmas early with Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Out of all of this news, of course, the thing I'm looking forward to most
is Aquaman.
Actually,
a lot of things I've seen on the internet of people who have already seen it, like the early showings, they say it's not that bad. Which makes me a little bit of optimistic for that movie, which it can't get much worse.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna rag on it, but I do hope it's good.
Yeah,
just because they don't have a very good track
Well,
record.
the bar is set so low
Yeah.
that they don't have to do much to be good.
Mhm.
So, but before we jump into anything else this week, every episode we like to talk about what we are into this week. So, Jason, go ahead and hit me with what you're into this week.
I am all right. So I'll go back to a topic that I already touched on before, because there's not anything new that's come up for me that I'm into. But Smash Bros. Ultimate comes out on Friday as well. So for me, Friday's a pretty big day with Avengers 4 trailer and Smash Ultimate.
Right.
But the main reason I'm so excited for that is because my brother got a Switch a couple weeks ago, which I didn't mention, and he pre-ordered it to come that day from Best Buy to come on Friday. So we're going to be hanging out at home.
Oh, nice.
Hanging out at our parents' house, playing Smash Ultimate, probably way past my bedtime on Friday. So that's kind of, one of the things that's not Marvel trailer film related, that I've been looking forward to for quite a while.
Yeah, it's I'm very excited about it coming out, even though I don't have a Switch yet. I'm hoping to get a Switch soon, if not for Christmas, birthday money, because my birthday is 2 days after Christmas, which is not that best of a birthday. It's not that nice. But I'm hoping to get a Switch at some point pretty soon. What I'm actually into this week is Sunday night we went and saw, by we I mean my family, we went and saw the new Grinch movie, the animated movie with Benedict Cumberbatch, and it's not as good as Jim Carrey's The Grinch, because I don't think any Grinch movie is going to beat that movie. That movie is amazing. But it is a very modern take on a Christmas classic and like animation, things like that. But it is actually a pretty good movie. Benedict Cumberbatch is amazing because he's Benedict Cumberbatch. He's great in everything. But the movie was actually really good. It had humor for kids and adults. It was weird, like 6 adults went there, and there was like a lot of little kids in there as well. So you had the creepy adults, that was us, sitting there watching a kids movie. But it was all right because it was a great movie. So if you haven't seen it and you have kids or nephews or whatever, go see it. It's really great. I've also heard that Ralph Breaks the Internet is really good as well, which I have not had the chance to see yet. But I'm pretty sure it's good because the first one was great, or not great, but it was good.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah. So we have a lot to talk about this week. I mean, a lot. So before we jump into the good, we have to talk about the bad that happened last week, and that is that Daredevil Season 3 has officially been canned.
Season 4?
Well, Daredevil in general.
Yeah.
Daredevil in general has been completely deleted from Netflix. Netflix isn't doing it anymore, which is a real shame. It was the best one out of all of them by far, which is very sad. So because this isn't the first one, obviously I think both of us would agree that Iron Fist was not a shock. It got canceled.
Right.
Luke Cage was kind of a shock, but you could kind of see where they're coming from. Daredevil completely shocked me. So what was your take of, or when you heard that it was canceled? What went through your mind?
Well, with Luke Cage and Iron Fist, you don't know what kind of agenda's going on there. Maybe they're trying to do a Heroes for Hire. Maybe they're just kind of tactlessly throwing us into Heroes for Hire,
right,
by not announcing it before canceling those shows. But with Daredevil, okay, so this is all over. Netflix, Marvel, this is all ending right now. So far, and I didn't take it as seriously when it was about Luke Cage and Iron Fist, when they were talking about those shows afterwards. But they've seemed like they want to continue the character of Daredevil in other places. So to me, that says maybe there's hope. Hopefully that doesn't mean they're going to recast him and put him on Disney Plus.
Right. Yeah.
I think that that's almost unanimous that nobody wants him to be recast, because Charlie Cox is really, really good. He's probably the best casting. Well, I shouldn't say that, but he's one of the best castings on all of Marvel Netflix.
Yeah.
So I really, really hope that they would keep him.
Really, buddy, on that show is the best casting out of anybody on Netflix. Maybe the girl that plays Jessica Jones. She's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
But between Charlie Cox playing Daredevil and then what's his name playing Defoe playing Fisk.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio. Him playing Fisk was a perfect fit as well.
Mm-hmm.
My hope from all of this is that Daredevil gets his own movie or shows up in the MCU. And when I say Daredevil, I mean Charlie Cox, not a reboot. And I really hope that with this happening now, Fisk can go into be a Spider-Man villain.
Right.
Because Fisk doesn't need to go away. He needs to be around because that would be amazing because he's so good. But the other characters, like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Iron Fist and Punisher, I don't know what they're going to do with them. Because I feel like they're going to recast if they even do a Disney Plus, if they even bring them on. So I'm really hoping that like they find somewhere to land because Jessica Jones and Punisher specifically are really good. Luke Cage was actually really good as well. If they recasted Iron Fist, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be that mad.
I think the best case scenario for all of this would be bringing those characters to Hulu because Disney has a large stake in Hulu. And I think that's pretty viable, and they've used that already for Runaways.
Yeah.
You know, Cloak and Dagger is on there too, and I think Agent Carter is on there. If they moved all these characters to Hulu and they started over with Defenders Season 2, and it was, like, great. Not only that, but if they kept Seasons 2, you know, maybe 6 to 8 episodes, if they shorten the seasons. Because the biggest problem with Marvel Netflix, it's not character, it's not, you know, artistic inspiration, it's not the scripting, it's that every season except for Daredevil Season 1, Jessica Jones Season 1, and Daredevil Season 3 feels at least a little bit bloated.
Yeah. They should have cut the seasons in half.
Yeah.
Because about halfway through is when you're like, this is kind of getting boring.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of getting real boring. But
Luke
Daredevil
Season 1.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah. But like at the halfway point it completely changed. Like the story completely changed in Luke Cage Season 1. Daredevil Season 3 was like 8 episodes? 10?
I want to say it was the full 13, but it
Was
wasn't. It wasn't like overly stretched out.
Right. Yeah.
Like things kept happening, and that's one of the highest praises of Daredevil Season 3 is that it, you know, has enough things going on to where it can handle 13 episodes.
Right, but it's not like so many things going on that you're getting confused.
Right.
It's got so many things keeping you interested instead of bogging you down and being like, there's way too much going on here, which a lot of shows run into that problem.
Yes.
So if you could see any character on the big screen besides Daredevil, anybody involved in Daredevil, who would you want to see the most?
Probably the Punisher.
Yeah.
Probably the Punisher. I feel like he would be the easiest. I feel like second to Daredevil, he's probably, in the comic sense, well, not probably, he's definitely the biggest character, you know, stacked up against Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. And I feel like he would be an easy person, kind of like Daredevil, to put into somebody else's story.
Right.
And we don't know quite all the stories that they're telling in Phase 4 and beyond right now. But I feel like he would be kind of an easy character to transplant, you know, or for a cameo or something. Because for Daredevil, I think it's pretty obvious the best way to put him in would be in a Spider-Man movie. You know, maybe him and Spider-Man get tied up in the same fight with Kingpin.
Right.
You get to see Daredevil for like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
I'd be down with him getting his own movie.
Yeah, if they had room for it, then totally.
Yeah. Speaking of Phase 4, I don't think we're going to find anything out until San Diego Comic-Con this year.
Nothing official yet.
Right, but there's been some, because I saw 3 movies that were like in the air, not in the air, but that were, it was the Eternals. I'm drawing a blank on them now.
Black Widow, and just recently announced they hired a script writer for Shang-Chi.
Yeah. So Phase 4 is not going the direction I thought it was going by these, but it's not a bad direction at all. Mm-hmm. Plus, anything they do is going to be gold at this point.
Yeah.
And any news that comes out besides Avengers 4 is going to be thrown to the wolves, which we've learned this week.
Yes.
Internet fans are crazy for Avengers 4.
It's just been really, really toxic lately,
I
think. And I can understand why people are frustrated because the Avengers 4 trailer,
it's the biggest thing in the MCU, or like to Marvel fans ever.
It's been like a carrot dangling in front of us, for a couple months now. And it's been a pretty difficult journey, but I think that finally this Friday, we're going to finally get this trailer.
Hoping nothing crazy happens before then.
Hoping the entire internet does not get universally deactivated on Wednesday.
Yes.
Friday.
Yeah. But it's been like, I haven't seen this much buzz for a trailer probably since Solo, because there was a lot of buzz for Solo.
I would
a lot of toxic fans for Solo
since The Force Awakens.
That too, yeah.
I would say since The Force Awakens, there hasn't been this, maybe ever,
Yeah.
Because this is
it's not been this bad.
Right.
For any Marvel movie, but this has been like crazy. People have been very upset with the Russos and Disney and Kevin Feige and Marvel for not releasing anything. And it's like, because they don't have to.
It's a trailer.
Yeah, it's just
a trailer
a trailer
for a movie about made-up characters, which is funny because we're on a podcast talking
about made-up characters. Yeah,
but you still have to kind of have a perspective about it.
And here's the thing about the trailer: it's probably not going to show us anything. Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to have more questions after the trailer than answers.
Right.
Because the purpose of a trailer is not to give away the plot, but to put up these questions for you to be intrigued enough to go, okay, I want to go see that movie now. Mm-hmm. Which, at this point, this movie doesn't need a lot of intrigue.
Right.
But the more intrigue it has, the more craze and the more buzz this movie's going to generate.
Totally. I think it also is representative of something else that would be interesting to see. Because The Last Jedi just came out last winter, and that was a very, very divisive movie.
Yes,
I'm
still
interested,
is.
Yeah, because it was so hyped.
Right.
It was so massively hyped up. That's not the only reason, of course. I don't like The Last Jedi. I think there are tons of flaws with it. But part of the reason that people don't like it so much is because of how massively hyped it was. Right. It was almost as hyped as The Force Awakens. So I'm interested to see, which I don't think it'll be like this, but if it is like this, if Avengers 4 becomes a somewhat divisive movie as well.
Yeah.
No matter how good it is, which I think it's going to be good. All the evidence points towards it's going to be amazing. But if Avengers 4 turns into a divisive film,
but it's not on Disney's fault for it becoming a divisive film. It's the fans' fault because they are reading too much into things, right? And not expecting too much, because we're all expecting a lot from this movie, but making things bigger in their head, and then what they get may not be the same thing. You know what I mean?
Inviting toxicity, you know, and I think that's the main thing. Like, you can have any conversation about how good or bad you think this certain thing is, and how much it deserves to be hyped up or whatever. But as long as you're not inviting that toxicity,
right,
inviting that, anger about certain things, and you're keeping it civil, then, you can have whatever opinion you like. But
right,
that's the big problem with the Marvel fandom right now, is that everyone is like, I deserve this trailer.
Everybody's owed something. And Disney doesn't owe us anything. Marvel doesn't owe us anything.
We've been
spoiled.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got to be grateful for so many things, especially Infinity War.
Right.
Because, that's just a testament to how great Infinity War was, is that people are so crazy over this trailer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a testament to what they've done for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Of how great it is, leading to this massive story that this has caused this much buzz and intensity. I do think, though, if if they'd have gave us a title a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago, the buzz would still be there, but it wouldn't be as toxic, I think, as it is now.
Right.
So that's kind of on them, but it's still not that big of a deal that people are making it out to be, which is people are going crazy over this. So much so that I've seen some people say they're going to boycott Avengers 4 now because they haven't got the trailer yet, which is fine with me. Don't go watch it. You're not a real fan in the first place if that's your thought.
Because Kevin Feige is going to look at your tweet saying you're going to boycott Avengers 4 and be like, well,
we got to put it out
the trailer
now.
Right
we
now.
Got to put it out right now.
This guy, Marvel fan 1234 on Twitter, is going to boycott Avengers 4. That's what he said. So we got to release it now.
Yeah, people are crazy.
We have to get this guy back. We have to get him back on the hype train.
They don't need your money. Trust me, they're going to get enough of my money when this movie comes out. They don't need your money. They don't.
Exactly. I will watch this movie for 5 of you.
Yes.
Yes.
There will be at least 10 people between the two of us that we've seen.
As if anyone is actually going to boycott the movie too.
Right. Yeah, it's just people trying to force their issue and get what they want. It's crazy.
Yes.
But we did get a trailer this week so far.
Yes.
Before the podcast before recording the podcast, if I can get my words together, we have the second trailer now for Captain Marvel, and this trailer was I'd say the first teaser trailer was divisive, in that a lot of people loved it and a lot of people compared it to Green Lantern, which is one of the worst superhero movies of all time.
Indubitably.
If you want to know our top 10 worst superhero movies, this is a cheap plug. Go listen to our episode about our top 10 worst superhero movies. Check it out. Spoiler, there's a lot of bad movies on that list.
Yeah.
A lot of bad movies on the list. But we got the second trailer this week that gave us a lot more clues kind of what this movie is going to be about, but then it also answered a lot more questions about her background or her origin story, that type of thing. So we are very much looking forward to that. So I figured we'd do the same thing for this trailer that we did last time, and that is kind of pick out the scenes that we like the most, or kind of break down not shot by shot, but key moments in the trailer. And I'll introduce it and kind of let you take away with it because you're the smarter one out of the two of us with this. So
no, I just have the voice.
You just have the voice. That's right.
I have the monotone podcast voice.
All right. So the first thing that we get in this trailer once again is a shot of the train coming through, and then you have Carol Danvers, played obviously by Brie Larson, walking through the train, and you get to the same scene with the old lady. And she does the creepy smile that she did in the first one. And then Captain Marvel decks her again. And then you see what she really is. And during the entire thing, you have Nick Fury giving his voiceover of what a Skrull is, what a Kree is. Kind of give your thoughts on how the trailer opened up, what you thought about it.
I think it was good. I think it's a good way to start the trailer out going back to something that people already know from the first trailer, going back to that, punching the old lady gimmick that I think a lot of people
that a lot of people went over. Yeah,
from the first one. So I like it.
Yeah, it was a smart way to open it, for sure, because it kind of just draws back of what happened in the first trailer, and then you get to see she's not just an old lady. You get to see that she's a Skrull and that type of thing, and it was awesome seeing her head get shoved into the pole that you hold on to when you're on a train. That was really cool to see that.
I liked the way the action was shot.
Yeah, the action in this trailer, we got a lot more action, and it looks so clean. One of the biggest concerns I had for this movie is we all knew that Captain Marvel is going to be a very CGI-heavy movie. And a lot of the times in superhero movies, when there's a lot of CG, it gets bogged down. We're looking at you, every DC movie ever.
Green Lantern.
Justice League.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Every DCE
DCE movie, yes, that is very true. But from what we've seen from the trailer, she didn't look she looked CG, but it wasn't terrible.
the visual effects, aren't done either.
Right.
When they're making the trailer. It's interesting because this movie has the lowest budget of any MCU movie since Ant-Man.
Really?
And then before that, I believe it had a lower budget than Captain America: The First Avenger.
Okay.
But it is one of the lowest budgeted out of, like, I think it's like bottoms, like 6th or 7th lowest budgeted out of the entire MCU.
Really?
Which is interesting. And I think that for that fact, the visual effects look really good.
Yes, they do.
Which Black Panther, one of my main negative takeaways from Black Panther was the visual effects, and I know that that's something that almost everyone agrees on.
Mm-hmm.
Was kind of a weak point for that film. So I hope that they kind of take that criticism and say, okay, well, we're at a point where we can still kind of make mistakes in that sense.
Yeah.
We're not invincible with our VFX, even though most of the time they look like amazing.
Right.
Infinity War looked incredible, top notch. So I hope that those look up to par with what they've already established.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, it's hard. I'm sure it's hard to do any character that flies and has things shooting out of their arms and legs and eyes and in space and fighting aliens and
yes,
like that's just a lot of work. But from what we've seen from the trailer, it looks really good, which isn't really a shock to anybody, I think, at this point with Marvel, because all the movies they've done, like you said, Infinity War, have looked so clean and crisp. But it's amazing. The next shot we get is Nick Fury and Captain Marvel. I would almost say Captain Danvers. Carol Danvers in the car talking about what is the war between the Kree and the Skrull and that type of thing. And she says the weirdest line in this shot of what is it? Noble heroes, and she goes warriors. Noble hero warriors.
Noble warrior heroes.
No, yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's not the best writing in that spot.
Yeah,
It's a little rough, but you still get to see a lot of shots of her in the Star Force, which is the same shot we got in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But we finally figured out, which we'll talk to when we get down to it, who Jude Law is playing, which is a really big deal. As well as we learned a lot from the Funko Pops that came out and then the trailer that just came out. There's a lot of new information coming in about this movie, more and more, which, man, it's hard to believe that the hype for Avengers 4 has kind of put this movie on the back burner a little bit in people's minds.
right.
Which is a shame, because I have a feeling that this movie is going to be amazing. Like, this movie is going to be really hard to beat, I feel like.
I hope so. I hope it's definitely one of Marvel's better origin stories, because I think that a lot of the MCU origin stories kind of lack sometimes.
Yeah.
And other than Iron Man and Spider-Man, I don't think that any of them have been, like, fantastic.
Right.
Doctor Strange was good. Ant-Man was good. But I think that those are the two that really set the bar, and I'd love for Captain Marvel to be another one of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think they will, because everything we've seen so far, it's kind of pointed that direction of this movie is actually going to be really good. Plus, it's setting up more for Avengers 4, I'm sure, than what the trailer will do.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that the end of this movie will tie into the end of Infinity War extremely close, if not the same moment when she gets the pager alert and things like that. I'm pretty sure it'll. So I don't know why people are kind of skipping this movie to get to Avengers 4. It's kind of like Thor Ragnarok. People kind of skip, because that was the one that came out before Infinity War, or was Black Panther was.
Yeah.
But the end of Thor Ragnarok tied in with the beginning of Infinity War.
Same thing with Ant-Man and the Wasp. If you think that you can skip out on Ant-Man and the Wasp to see Avengers 4, you're going to be kind of confused.
Yeah. Well, you could not watch the entire Ant-Man and the Wasp movie and just watch the end credit scene and you'll be fine.
Yeah, but I would say there are things in Ant-Man and the Wasp, especially with the quantum realm, that you're going to want to know about.
Which, what's his name? Jeremy
Renner?
No, the MCU cosmic guy.
Oh, Jeremy Conrad.
Yeah, Jeremy Conrad. He in his trailer breakdown. Have you seen his trailer breakdown?
I haven't.
Okay. Check it out. It's really cool. And that's for our listeners and people watching on YouTube. Check it out there. Because he says that there are a lot of shots in this trailer that looks like quantum, like it's something in the quantum realm.
Right.
Which has a lot of tie-ins.
Right. Yeah, that would be interesting because we know that the quantum realm is going to feature in Captain Marvel. It's going to be a part of Captain Marvel.
Right.
So if it ties into how she gets her powers, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's quantum energy. Maybe that's like her entire thing is quantum energy. That would make her super useful.
Yeah.
You know,
yes,
as if like even more useful than she already was.
Right.
But we do know that the quantum realm is going to be in Captain Marvel, and it's going to be very heavy in Avengers 4. So that's why everyone should see Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, you can't skip out on any MCU movie.
Not
if you want to stay in the loop of things, you really can't skip even like the smallest of films.
The Hulk is the only one that you can skip entirely, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because we've seen his origin story several times.
Right. You just have to know that he broke Harlem.
Yes. Which is, you can watch the Daredevil series on Netflix and figure out that Harlem was broken.
Yeah.
Just by a newspaper in the background. Mm-hmm. So that's not that hard.
Watch Luke Cage.
Yeah. Yeah. But man, the hate for this movie, not the hate, I don't want to say hate, but like the people who are against this movie,
impatience,
and the impatience is really starting to get on my nerves.
Yeah.
Like really starting to get on my nerves because this, like, people are going to overlook this movie, and I know they are, and they're going to say, oh, that movie's not that great because it's not Avengers 4. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, but it's setting up for Avengers 4, and beyond that, it's setting up for later on down the line for Phase 4, 5, and 6, most likely.
Totally.
So just be patient. Nobody was freaking out after the first Avengers movie. Like, don't freak out now. You know what I mean? So, we kind of got on a tangent there. But
I agree.
After that, we kind of get more shots of things we saw in the first trailer. We get the shot of the crash plane, and then the close-up of Carol Danvers with her nose bleeding, but it's bleeding green. And then they do a wider shot of her and some energy force thing is running through her body. I don't remember what it's called exactly. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we see the Kree City. We see I forget what one of the lady in that's kind of like talking through this trailer, saying that they made her one of them. They they not took away her life, but like they made her what she is today. That type of thing, which is very interesting because, which we'll get to in a little bit, the background or her origin is really two different things, and nobody really knows what it is because this trailer kind of showed both of them.
Yeah.
Which we'll jump into here in a minute. Obviously, we get the same line of Carol saying she's having these memories, and these memories could be the key. And then we get a shot of her flying the Quinjet, but it looked like a 90s Quinjet instead of a modern day Quinjet. It looked kind of old school, which was really cool.
Yeah, proto Quinjet. I really like it.
Yeah.
We saw that in the first trailer too. We saw that in that one shot where that ship materialized.
Yeah, because this one can go to space, right? So that was really cool to see the full up close. That was really cool to see it.
And I think this scene is the best example of her and Nick Fury have really good chemistry.
Yes, they do.
And I cannot wait.
Yes, they do.
Cannot wait to see that in the actual movie.
Yeah, well, Samuel L. Jackson's going to kill it in every movie he does. But this movie is really cool because it seems like he's more rejuvenated than some of his other performances in the MCU, which is really cool to see. Mm-hmm. And then we get the shot of her in her Star Force green suit coming in with the mohawk and things like that, which is a really cool shot. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Then we get the shot of Ben Mendelsohn in his scroll get-up saying that...
unrecognizable.
Yes, very. But he says... wrote it down. I can't find it now. Oh, he keeps asking her if she wants to know who she really is, which is a really cool shot. And they have one shot where the dust is kind of clearing and there's somebody coming. Apparently, that's going to be a big twist in this movie of whoever's walking towards her.
Really?
Yeah. Which the shot of Talos right after that could be a misdirection that Marvel loves to throw in their trailers.
It's Tony Stark.
Hey, I'm all for it. Or Thanos.
Yeah.
That'd be cool if it was just Thanos just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Wouldn't make much... Well, it might make sense. You never know.
Come join the dark side. That would be a good misdirect.
It would be.
Which, speaking of misdirects, one of the big misdirects, I'll throw this in there now since we're already talking about Captain Marvel, one of the big misdirects that people have been talking about that I find really interesting. What if at the end of this movie, instead of just like the regular reveal with the pager and everything, she like looks at the pager and then like she like fades into ash.
Oh, wow.
You're like, what was that? You know, people would be really surprised.
Because she's supposed to be the savior of this, of the Avengers 4, but if she's like dust, that would be...
You know, and she could come back for the final fight.
Right.
In Avengers 4, because part of the movie is going to have all of the dead characters in it.
Right.
You know, she could still be part of that movie, but maybe not as big of a role as we think. You know, which could be cool, but I'd rather have her there for the whole thing, but I also think that the misdirect of having her fade away, would be insane.
Yeah. But that would raise a lot more questions.
Yeah.
Because if the two main theories I've heard in this movie is either going to be time travel or other dimensions. If it's time travel and they're bringing other people back from time to help fight, how are they going to know about Captain Marvel? Unless they go all the way back to the 90s. If they're doing dimensions, how are they going to know about Captain Marvel? You know what I mean?
Well, they do have Natasha, who was very close with Nick Fury, who was very close with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe she knows about kind of that like contingency.
Yeah.
There's a chance.
There's a chance. But that would be... I'm kind of hoping they do that now.
Yeah, no,
that would be really
sick.
That'd be really nice to see that happening. And then we get shots of Carol in the shield bunker, looking at files, and there's a picture of her, and she's just continuing talking about her memories that keep popping up. And then we get Jude Law's character, a close up of him, and last week was it when the Funko Pops were released? There was one called Jan Rog that looked just like Jude Law. So basically, it's an confirmed that Jude Law is more than likely playing Jan Rog in this movie, which a lot of people aren't happy about because a lot of people are wanting Marvel.
Right. People want to have the story figured out before
and then when it's not the same thing, they get mad about it.
Yes.
But
Marvel will tell their stories the way they want to tell them.
Right. And I trust Marvel more than I trust us. A lot more than I trust a lot of things I've read on the internet.
And with Jude Law being Jan Rog, it's interesting because he is a villain. For those who don't know about Captain Marvel,
he's
or Cosmic
like
Marvel.
her main villain.
He's pretty much her main nemesis, as a person.
Right.
So that's interesting because, as I told you earlier, or as we discussed earlier, really the only good guys in this film are Carol, Fury, Coulson,
Maria
Rambeau.
And Goose.
And the cat. Yes. Yes. It's like everybody else in this film is a villain. Ben Mendelsohn is a villain. Jude Law is a villain. Gemma Chan. Obviously Ronan the Accuser.
Right.
So, they...
There's a lot of villains.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's going to have her work cut out for her, seeing how powerful she is already in this trailer.
The one thing I don't hope happens is that there are too many villains that it kind of bogs it down.
Right.
What I'm kind of hoping is what kind of happened at the end of Doctor Strange is that none of them really turn into bad guys or the villains until at the end of the movie, which sets up future Captain Marvel movies, which I think would be really cool instead of having her fighting like 4 different villains at once.
Well, and then again, I think that with the Kree-Skrull War being the greater thing that's going on here, you know, since all of the non-human characters are Kree and Skrull and a cat, you know, I think that is a really good opportunity to have a lot of different key players, none of which are kind of on her side.
Right.
And later on in the trailer, which we'll touch on, something that she says is, I'm not going to fight in your war, I'm going to end it.
Right.
She's talking about the Kree-Skrull War, you know. So if she's not really on either side, you know, if she becomes disillusioned with the Kree, you know, whether that's by Ronan or Yanrog or whoever, you know, and she decides, all right, both of these sides
messed up.
are
I'm going to
super
take them
messed
both
up.
down. Yeah.
You know, maybe they decide they need to invade Earth. Maybe
Yeah.
the Kree decide they need to invade Earth, and she's like, well, I can't let that happen. You know, after she meets Nick Fury, she's like, well, I like these people. You
Right,
know, I
yeah.
don't want you to come and wipe them all out.
It's kind of like, well, it's kind of like the Man of Steel plot, but much better. Much better.
Yeah.
I watched that movie the other day. Whew. That was not a good movie.
Yeah.
That's not a good movie. That's a different podcast, though.
Right.
So then we get several action shots after this, which, like we said before, the action shots in this movie looked really, really crisp and really, really good. Made me excited for that. And then we see a shot of what looks like S.H.I.E.L.D. agents walking through where all the planes are. And you see Ben Mendelsohn in his human form.
S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
S.H.I.E.L.D., the head of S.H.I.E.L.D.
For those not on YouTube, I have quotation marks. S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Yes. It's the Skrulls walking through, which is very interesting. More than likely looking for Carol and Nick.
Yeah.
And then after that, we get the coolest shot so far. When Captain Marvel is like in full, whatever it's called mode. Where like she's glowing. And
binary.
When she's in like the full binary, it looks amazing. Like I freaked out when I saw that part.
She looks like she's going Super Saiyan.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that's the number one reference I've heard was that. And then we get shots of her flying around and kicking butt and things like that.
Yeah, in space. And that shot, I like the way that part is shot, I think is very interesting. And the VFX aren't like, you know, spot on yet,
Right.
so I'm hoping that they get to tweak those a little bit. But the way that you know, the way that the trailer ends, that final, you know, in space action scene looks really cool.
Yes, it does.
You know, the way that it tracks her movement is really cool.
After seeing that last like shot, I'm very excited to see the action in this movie. Which is something Marvel always nails, is like the action in movies, but this looks like this is next level, so it looks really cool.
I think that, as with pretty much every other character, her power set gives them a really interesting opportunity.
Yeah.
Because we don't have, in Marvel so far, we haven't seen people flying around
Except
in space like that.
Yeah, well yeah, except
You know.
Star-Lord, but like
Right, but like,
not to that degree. He has to.
Right.
He still has to have a spaceship to fly around. Like she don't need anything.
right.
So
You know, and they've said that her powers exist on a scale that hasn't been seen in the MCU yet. Which I don't know if that means she's more powerful than like Thor with Stormbreaker yet.
right.
You know, or Star-Lord in celestial form.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I don't think it goes that far. But in this trailer, we see how strong like she really is.
Yeah, and she's gonna kick butt. We know that. And I think going back to the war, the thing where she said, I'm not gonna fight in your war. I'm gonna end it. I think that's a really cool tie-in to like Thanos at the end of Infinity War. Like going into Avengers 4 is like I'm not gonna fight in the war. I'm gonna end it.
Yeah.
Like I'm going right after you and I'm gonna end it.
I didn't notice that, but yeah, that's a cool
I
parallel.
saw that on Twitter. Which from the same, if you haven't checked out, this is another cheap plug right in the middle of the podcast. Our friends over at the New World Nerds YouTube channel, they do a lot of live streaming and game stuff, and we're going back and forth on Twitter talking. And I posted this question. I posted on Twitter that we were recording tonight, and that I wanted to kind of get everybody's thoughts on the trailer. And his thoughts were, pull it up real quick, see if I can pull it up real quick. But it was kind of going back to Captain Marvel's origin and what she was all about. Let's see here. There we go. He said, I think she looks amazing with the Mohawk uniform. Also, is that a Kree blood transfusion? Maybe how Fury finds out to use it on Coulson after the events of the Avengers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can totally see that because if you haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Spoilers. Coulson's still alive.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
But it's a show that's been out for a long time, so that's your fault.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1, it's revealed that Coulson survived. Mm-hmm. And then Daisy also survived. Both of them came back due to a Kree blood transfusion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's... Because you see the shot of what we all think as Carol Danvers with the Kree blood going through, kind of like a blood transfusion on her. Mm-hmm. But is that when they are transforming her, or was she half Kree? Because I know there are some adaptations in the comics where her mom was Kree, I believe. That makes her half Kree. So that would make sense of after her plane crashes and she has the nosebleed and it's green. If that's before or like the moment she gets her powers, if she's half Kree and then whatever the crash was gives her powers, I think that would be kind of harder to tell instead of like her getting kidnapped and then them turning her into a Kree. But that's kind of a weird story as well.
Right, either that or the explosion is her first contact.
Right.
And then, like, she crashes and then there's that explosion. Mm-hmm. And then she gets taken up, and she meets the Kree and that's how she becomes one of them. But in that first explosion that we've seen in both of the trailers, because if I remember correctly, her origin story in the comics is she gets caught in that explosion and then her DNA gets rewritten half human, half Kree. Yeah,
well, but I also think that there was, like, the newer versions of Captain Marvel have taken on that, like, her mom was Kree, mm-hmm. and her dad was human, and so when they had her, she was half Kree. That type of thing. But who knows where they're going with it.
Because her dad has been cast in the movie.
Yeah.
And there's a girl also playing a young version of Carol.
Right, so it could be half Kree, half human by mother or whatever.
Could be that lady that was talking to her is her mother.
Yeah. Ooh, I didn't think about that. That'd be nice.
Maybe.
That'd be a really good tie-in. But yeah, man, this movie looks really, really good to me. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited for it. I know. Don't get me wrong. I'm extremely excited for the Avengers 4 trailer. But I'm trying to keep my hype level down until after March because I don't want to look past this movie. Yep. Because I have a feeling that this movie... I think this movie will be better, not better, but I think this movie will progress things more than whatever Avengers 4 is. Because Avengers 4 is the end of a story. Mm-hmm. This is just introducing a new character to be a part of that movie to move on down the line, So, plus, if you look past this movie and you don't go see this movie and then you see Captain Marvel in Avengers 4, you'll probably be very confused as to who she is and what her powers are and things like that. So,
right.
Yeah. But what were your, any final thoughts on the trailer?
I liked it. I liked seeing as much as we got to see.
Yeah.
We saw a whole lot more.
But
the first trailer didn't show us all that much, but we saw plenty more in this one.
Yeah, but not enough to give away a lot of stuff.
Right.
It was just to kind of pique our interest even more.
And I wonder if we're getting a third trailer or not. Because we could. It's kind of regular for Marvel to release a trailer, I believe, at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Which may be for Avengers 4.
It could be, but I guess we'll just have to see. I think there should be a third Captain Marvel trailer before the movie comes out, no matter what.
Well, plus you'll have your different TV spots and things like that.
Right.
Plus, we still got the Far From Home trailer coming out.
Right, which if that doesn't show Mysterio, I'll be very disappointed because
he has to be.
Mysterio.
Yeah, he has to. But I have heard that they're not going to really do the Sinister Six, but that because have you seen on Tom Holland's Instagram the shot of what looks like a typhoon or water thing crashing into the city? Oh, because one of I forget, there's so many Spider-Man villains. But one of the Spider-Man villains has the ability over water or something like that.
Hydro Man.
Yeah, Hydro Man. There was a rumor that he was going to be in the movie, that part of the Sinister Six. What I've heard is that this could be Mysterio playing tricks on Spider-Man, thinking he saved the day, and then for Mysterio to continue to go on with his plan of whatever it is.
I heard that Molten Man would also be a part of that same scheme.
Yeah. So whatever happens in that movie. Next year for Marvel next year for Disney as a whole is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, and they're in this year extremely strong with Mary Poppins. So, but any final thoughts on Captain Marvel and what we've talked about?
I think we got it.
Any final thoughts on Avengers 4?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Next week.
Check out next week's.
Thoughts.
We'll probably go about an hour and a half next week.
Yeah.
Be ready for that because we have 2 trailers to talk about. I'm sure we'll talk about Far From Home first because get it out of the way and then...
And the Avengers Project.
Yep. So next week's episode is going to be a big episode.
Yeah.
So look out for that. But this has been the Nerd Crew podcast. This has been a lot of fun. Like we said before, this is our first time recording this and putting it on YouTube, so you can see what we do while we record this and how awkward we really are.
We'll take a constructive criticism.
Yes, we will.
Yes,
we will, and then we'll throw it out the window. More than likely. But this has been the Nerd Crew podcast. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow us. Well, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at the Nerd Crew podcast. You can follow me at I'm Andy York. Obviously, Jason still does not have a Twitter because we cannot get Jason Momoa to tweet at him yet.
Right.
But he is being able to keep up with notifications on when the trailer is going to drop and things like that. So he's still keeping up to date with everything. But like I said, if you want to listen to our podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, make sure you leave a like, share, subscribe, rate, review so that we can continue to do this and so that we can show the love and grow our community because we want to grow this thing up. Look forward in January on our Twitter page. Make sure you're following our Twitter page, and at some point on YouTube, we will be doing a live stream of every episode, talking about everything. We'll interact with everybody that is watching live, and we'll take your questions and then that type of thing. So we're really trying to grow this thing in January next year. This was kind of something we just kind of started, but the more we do it, I think the more fun we have with it and more we want to do with it. So we really appreciate everybody listening. But for Jason and for Andy, we really appreciate you listening to this week's episode of the Nerd Crew podcast, and we will catch you next week.